the lock stitch starts with a row of vertical stitches, so I'm working between two lines. It works best on straight lines or gentle curves. We're just going to do a row of, well, we've done this on other stitches, basically rungs on a ladder. They're parallel and they're the same height. Since I'm working on a curve, obviously sometimes I'm going to have to come in a little tighter or wider on one side or the other to do the curve. So we're just going to work a whole row of those parallel vertical stitches. Okay, after working my line of vertical stitches, I'm going to switch to a tapestry needle. You can use a contrasting thread, you can use the same thread. We are not going to be going through the fabric except for at the beginning and the very end of the row, so you can use a more delicate thread that's a little harder to work with. So I'm going to bring my new thread up inside the first two stitches closest to the very first one. So it's right there and it's near the bottom. I'm going to take my needle under that first stitch from right to left, pull through, and then I'm going to take my needle under the next stitch right to left. My thread is above the needle this time and it's going to alternate. So it's above the needle, then the next one is under the next stitch right to left. My working thread is under the needle. The next time my working thread is going to be above, and I'm going through the next stitch right to left. Then it's going to be under, I go right to left. So it just alternates the working thread above and below, and I'm always going right to left under the next stitch. I'm going to work all the way down the row. So if I'm just doing a single lock stitch, I can leave them spread out like that. If I want to come back and do a double or a lock stitch band, I can move these down a little bit. You can manipulate them. I'll show you what the double or the lock stitch band is when I get to the end of this. That one should be above. It really should, the thread above or below the needle kind of falls there naturally if you let it. Should be alternating with up, down on my vertical lines. And when I get to my last one, I'm still going to go right to left around the next stitch. I will take my thread to the back, right next to that last stitch in between the two. So there it is. Now, if I want to do a double lock stitch or a lock stitch band, depends on where you're looking, I'm going to turn my work 180 degrees. Again, I'm coming up to the right or inside my first two stitches right next to the first one. I'm going to go under that first stitch right to left. My thread wants to be, well, I want it to be on the bottom because I'm spacing these apart. So going under, working thread above, working thread under. I'm still going right to left under my previous stitches, above. So my stitches when they're going, when the working thread is above the needle, is going to make this band of two stitches. When it's below, it's making this opening. But it's still just right to left. All the way across, alternating whether the working thread is above or below the needle. Because it is just laced, I can always come back and manipulate this a little if I want to. side. So again, a very gentle curve or a straight line is the best way to use this stitch, so it could make a nice border. And when I get to the end, and, oh, when I'm pulling up my lock stitches, I'm not pulling them up so tight that I'm distorting my vertical stitches. So that's kind of how to judge your tension. And then I will just take my needle to the wrong side inside that last stitch, and that finishes my double lock stitch or my lock stitch band.